Hi everyone, and good Thursday evening. It is Weather for Weather Geeks time. It is the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast, and this is going to be a video that's chock full of cool stuff this evening. Lots of climate stats, some long-range forecasts, and everything you need to know, of course, about the short term. We're going to preview a little bit, the winter forecast, which is coming up in a week, believe it or not. All right, let's start with what's going on as of about 7 o'clock p.m. We had just a little bit of rain still left over this evening, especially up in Trumbull and Mercer counties. Not much more than drizzle or sprinkles elsewhere. We're getting into kind of a dry slot early this evening after a steady rain moved back in this afternoon. We're going to be in this dry slot for a time this evening, and what I mean by dry slot, that doesn't mean it's just going to be dry for hours. There could be a passing shower, but the radar will certainly not be as active over the next few hours as it was earlier on this afternoon. This is a pretty big storm system. Now, if this were the middle of winter, this would be a doozy of a snowstorm in a lot of spots. Thankfully, it's not winter yet, so it's a chilly rain. We've got showers and even the possibility of some thunder with this skinny line here down towards Cincinnati and Louisville. Keep an eye on this later on. This might actually impact our region before the night is through tonight. What a temperature gradient, though, across the region. As the crow flies, about 125 miles to Morgantown, West Virginia from Youngstown. And earlier on, we had temperatures locally in the 40s. It was almost 80, approaching 80 anyway, in northern West Virginia. As of 7 o'clock, the difference isn't quite as dramatic, but that milder air is lurking just off to our south. Today's temperature forecast, a real tricky one, and I think we're going to reach our daytime highs. I shouldn't even say daytime. Our high temperatures for the calendar date, the first day of November, we'll reach them probably right before midnight tonight. Already we're starting to see in our local area a pretty big gradient here. Still 44 up in Mesopotamia in the northwestern corner of Trumbull County. Southeastern Columbiana County over into Beaver County, it's in the mid-50s as of 7:03 this evening. And I think a lot of spots can touch 60 before the evening is through. Maybe even 61, 62. In some spots. That'll be later on this evening, and then temperatures start to slowly slide back. But notice what happens tomorrow. We'll reach our high during the daylight hours right at sunrise. It's going to be totally backwards from today. Today we'll reach our highest temperature way after sunset. Tomorrow's high is right around sunrise for the daylight hours. And then, yeah, we're going to spend most of the day in the lower and middle 40s. Not going to be a great Friday coming up tomorrow. Unfortunately, damp and chilly is the call. There's our dry slot this evening. Now, as I fast forward a few hours, that little skinny line of showers, and I can't even rule out a rumble of thunder with this. Midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. That's something that we'll be keeping an eye on. Possibility of a gusty shower and maybe a clap of thunder. Tomorrow morning starts with clouds. It's going to be murky. There's going to be a little drizzle and a shower here and there. Just, you're not going to need the sunglasses tomorrow morning. That is for sure. All right, before we get any farther into the forecast, I want to talk a little bit about where we've been so far this year, now that we have another month in the record books. October finished at 1.8 degrees warmer than average, making it our 6th consecutive month of warmer than average temperatures. 7 out of the 10 months this year have been warmer than average. January, March, and April, the exceptions to this. So ever since the pattern flipped in May, really the first day of May, it's been pretty consistently warm. It's also been a very wet year. I'm hearing a lot of complaints about, hey, too much wet weather this fall. And yeah, the fall season's been really wet. 4.61 inches above average in September and exactly an inch wetter than average in October. A surplus for the year up over 10 inches. 2 drier than average months. Those were in the summer months, July and August. Every other month has seen wetter than average conditions. The wet weather, the warm early fall weather really kind of hindered our foliage. Now, the colors are popping right now. It looks pretty nice, but it's not as nice as some years, and certainly the peak is later than it usually is. We're probably near peak at this point. The rain continues to bring down some leaves, and that process will really accelerate, I think, next week. We've got some windy weather coming next week with some rain chances as well. So this is probably about as good as it's going to get. Unfortunately, the weather kind of stinks to view the leaves. Sunday will be the exception. Maybe Sunday's your day to make one more trip over to Mill Creek or any of your favorite spots that have great foliage, because beyond Sunday, the weather doesn't look great. And again, I'm expecting the foliage to start declining pretty rapidly by next week. All right, so again, as we get into the forecast here, a murky day tomorrow. Occasionally it's going to spit a little rain. It's going to be misty and drizzly here and there. It's going to be chilly with temperatures staying in the 40s. And as the playoffs get underway, I'm expecting maybe a shower here and there. I don't think it's much rain. Maybe it's just a fine mist in some spots. It's just going to be chilly, just playing on a chilly evening with temperatures holding steady in the lower 40s. This kind of regime will be with us through Saturday morning. There could be 1 or 2 showers or areas of drizzle lurking into the first couple of hours of daylight on Saturday. Finally, some improvement by Saturday afternoon. I think we'll start to see the clouds thin. And so things start looking up by the end of the day Saturday, and then Sunday again is our pick day. This is a nice day with some high, thin cirrus clouds mixed in with the sun and temperatures returning to the mid-50s. So here's the weekend forecast. I've only have 47 Saturday, but we bump up to a double nickel on Sunday. And Sunday is probably the best day of at least the next 7, perhaps even the next 10. Don't forget this weekend we're changing the clocks, and as a result, as we head back to standard time, Saturday morning is our latest sunrise of the entire year, 7:56 a.m. We don't see sunrises that late during standard time. In January, our latest sunrise occurs in early January at 7:47. So Saturday morning's sunrise as late as it gets around here. The return of standard time at 2 a.m. Sunday morning. Good time to check your batteries and your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. Meteorologists, I'll give you a little inside baseball here. Meteorologists love standard time because the models come in an hour earlier. The models run on cycles that aren't governed by standard time versus daylight time. And so the model runs start now. The main model runs will start in standard time at 7 a.m., 7 p.m. as opposed to 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. For my purposes, since I work the evening hours, that means I get to look at the European model an hour earlier, which is a key part of our forecast each day, and especially as we get into winter storm situations. So we generally like standard time in the weather enterprise. All right, Election Day is Tuesday, and it doesn't look like a great day. I'm not going to show you the maps this evening. Not much has changed in my thinking overall. If you've been keeping up with my forecast the last couple of days, it looks like kind of a windy day. It's going to be a mild day. It'll probably be well into the 60s. But a windy day, a good chance for some rain, especially in the afternoon hours on Tuesday. All right, quick reminder, winter forecast coming up a week from today. Short version, I mean short, like 2.5, 3-minute version on 21 News at 6 and 11. That'll be just the bottom line. But a much more detailed version. I'll have unlimited time, of course, on these online versions. In recent years, they run generally between 10 and 15 minutes. A lot more of the why behind the forecast. A lot of it is geeky, sciencey stuff, and it may be great for some people. For some people are more of a just give me the bottom line kind of fans. If you like more detail and you like to see what we're looking at, because this isn't dartboard stuff. There's a lot of hard science that goes into this. A little bit of art as well, but it's 90% science, 10% art when we talk about these winter forecasts. Experience, intuition plays a big role as well. And just a quick review while we're talking about winter of recent year's snowfall. Last year we had 81 inches and change at the Youngstown Warren Airport. It was above average. Our average is in the low 60s at the airport. Now, of course, no one lives at the airport. If you live south of the airport down in Mahoning, and especially Columbiana County, your average annual snowfall was more like in the 40s. If you live north of the airport up into the secondary snow belt, closer to Cortland, and then especially up towards Kinsman, Greenville, those places, their averages are up in the 70s and 80s. So we do have a variation across the region, but at the airport we averaged 62. It was above average last year. It was also warmer than average last winter thanks to February. Now this would have been a colder than average winter if not for the kind of 10-day to 2-week stretch in February when it got ridiculously warm. So that means we technically have had 3 consecutive warmer than average winters. A lot of people don't remember last winter as a warmer than average winter because December was cold, January was cold, March was cold, but February was really warm, and that skewed the numbers last winter and made meteorological winter, which again defined as December, January, February, not March, just December, January, February. It skewed the numbers. It meant that it was a little bit warmer than average for the season, even though December was pretty cold, and January was colder than average as well. All right, I've rambled long enough in tonight's video. I'm off tomorrow. I'll see you back here for a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.